Hello everyone and welcome to another FOTN review. I have a cat in my lap. Oh, he's so cute. Anyway, I don't know why I have the lisp there weirdly. Anyway, this is for the main event of Maia versus Askren, which was obviously Demian Maia versus Funky Ben Askren at the Singapore Indoor Stadium in Kallang, Singapore. I almost said the Kallang Stadium, that's not what it's called. And Demian Maia would win in round 3 at 3 minutes and 54 seconds via submission due to a rear naked choke. And I'm going to tell you how they got there through the fight, and that's what we're going to do, because that's what we do, usually. Before I do, though, I want to thank everyone who watched CWL's Gold Rush last night. It was a hell of a pay-per-view, even though my wrestler didn't win the Gold Rush in the Bank. It was a really disappointing ladder match. The women's one was way better, definitely. Probably match of the night for my money, but, thank you to everyone who did show up. And we're going to get on with the fight. So, fight starts, obviously, both men on the feet. The referee for this one is Dean, by the way, so already, like a good choice. The two actually start striking, surprisingly, which is not something you expect from Demian Maia and Ben Askren, who are two of arguably the best grapplers, not just in the UFC, but I'd argue in all of MMA. Like, Demian Maia could make a statement of being the best grappler of all time overall. So, the two do trade a fair few strikes, and that does surprise me. The main striking story is Maia's, straight left, because he's a southpaw fighter traditionally, and Ben Askren's right uppercut, because he's more orthodox. And, Ben Askren lands a good couple of upcuts, and there's a moment where he fakes, he doesn't fake, he throws a spinning back fist and misses, but he does get a clinch on Demian Maia, and the two do sort of fight over it, and there is a moment where I think there's sort of like a headlock position as well, which almost looked like a guillotine, and I think Askren lands a knee on Maia. I think it causes some swelling around his right eye, and Ben Askren does eventually get a takedown round 1, which is, it's a good and bad thing to take down Demian Maia. For one thing, you're taking down one of the best grapplers in the world, but for another thing, he's one of the best grapplers in the world. Off his back, he can put people in a lot of dangerous positions, and he caught Ben Askren with a couple of really good submission attempts. He didn't manage to lock anything in, and the first round was a really good mix, evenly, of being on the ground, being up on the feet too, and really good clinch work as well, obviously. And there was a moment as well where I think Askren had Maia down, and Maia managed to roll out of it, and he was sort of like in his fall position. But Maia had his hand on Askren's right foot and was holding it behind Askren's left knee, sort of like preventing him from really moving to a lot of other places and just like landing a couple of shots until the round ended. And I thought that was really smart of Demian Maia to have done something like that. And it was really even rounds, but given all that happened, I think it's slightly edged in favour of Askren, maybe? I mean, it was a very difficult one to call. I mean, the stand-up work was great, but I think because Askren did more damage and did get the takedown, I feel like it was more his round. Round 2, you could arguably make the same case. Like, there was... I think this was the round which had my favourite, sort of ground sequence of the fight. If it's not this, it's round 3. But I'll tell you what the sequence is before moving on. So, there is a moment where Askren takes Maia down. Maia manages to roll out of it, and... Well, not roll out of it, he takes some punishment, but he just managed to get out of it. And, flip Askren so he's sort of, beside him, and then go for an omoplata. Askren knows what's happening, rolls with the omoplata, and gets on his back, only for Maia to then mount him, and then... Eventually, they both get back up on their feet, but of all the moments that could have popped the crowd, I'm really glad that that was the one that did the most, because it was so fluid. It looks so great to actually see in motion. So, damn, what was next? The rest of round 2. I think that moment was in round 2 anyway, but yeah, there was some really good moments. Obviously, great clinch work, really good striking work, especially from Askren, and he started going for the body a bit more, and he got a really good flurry off as well at 2-minute left mark, 3-minute overall mark in round 2, and 3-minute overall in the context of in that particular round. I think that would be 8 minutes overall if we were to count the entire time, not counting it would technically be 9 if we count the time in between corners, and now I'm just rambling, which is what I usually do. But yeah, Askren landed a really good combo. He landed some good shots. He landed that uppercut again. He actually cut Maia open on his left cheek, and that luckily it was there and not above the eye, because if you get cut above the eye and blood gets into your vision, that can really fuck you up. So yeah, But luckily, that is not what happened, and once again, it was more sort of the same as round 1, but also just like turned up to 11, especially with that grappling sequence, and I would definitely give round 2 to Askren. Like, he was starting to pull away with it a bit here, especially with that striking flurry and the fact that he managed to drop an uppercut, and the fact that he did also land a takedown on Maia. So, that's sort of where it stands. Round 3 is definitely where a lot more of the grappling work starts to come into play. The men do both like stand and strike, and I think Askren does have a slight cut above around his left eye, maybe. So yeah, it's not super noticeable, but there's like a little blemish and a little bit of red, which I'm going to assume is just blood. So let's do that. But anyway, all those bits in round 2 and 1 were great. In round 3, it was more sort of like the same, but once again, it was stepped up. There was more grappling involved. There was more clinch work between the two. Excuse me. And eventually, there is like a takedown from Askren onto Maia. That seems to be the main sort of like grappling story. Like Askren faking to get into the clinch. He did that quite a lot. He did it with another spinning back fist earlier, I think. Although in the first round when he did the spinning back fist, he transitioned really easily into the clinch. This time around, he sort of missed the spinning back fist, and it took him a while to get to the clinch properly. But he managed to get it, and he managed to take Maia down, and it looked really good. And I think there was a moment earlier in round 3 as well where Ben Askren did land a really good sort of like spinning side slam and put Maia on the ground. Maia did manage to have the strength to get up, but it must not have been easy because he landed flat on his back and it looked really painful. But you know, great to Maia, like he's a lot tougher than people think he is, and you know, he managed to tough it out and eventually managed to get back onto his feet, so no complaints really. But yeah, round 3, definitely where a lot more of the grappling took place. Maia, I think I forgot to mention about Maia. I think he mounted up near the end of round 2 as well and landed some good shots. I think he did that. But round 3, he managed to sort of like, you know, get Askren on his back. Managed to, even though he was the one taken down, he did manage to get Askren on his back, managed to mount up and land some really good shots. And, like, Askren was trying his best not to give up his back too much. Even though, like, you know, he was in, like, dangerous positions before when Maia was on the bottom. Now that Maia's on top, Askren is in a much worse situation, and he can't turn away too much. So Maia did the smart thing. He managed to think it through. He eventually got the body triangle. Askren was slightly able to turn onto his side, not fully onto his back, and it was only a matter of time before he finally fully gave it up. And you know, he eventually did, and Maia managed to like snatch onto that like a freaking pitbull. Like he caught Askren's back after he gave it up without really meaning to, but you know, it's Demian Maia. When you're on the ground with him, you're really not safe. So Maia managed to like sink in a couple of rear naked choke attempts, and Askren managed to keep fighting them off. Eventually, Maia managed to use some really good striking to sort of get around that while still in that position. Then sunk in the rear naked choke, and Askren didn't tap out fully. Like he was falling asleep, and there was a moment where his arm dropped, and it sort of looked like he tapped on his own leg. But I think that's just because he fell unconscious. I think he was going to tap before he felt the lights going in his head. By the way, Demian Maia won, and yeah, this was once again like you know I know it's been a bit late in the year for the UFC fights of the night, whatever you want to call them, to really step up, but this was a really good one, like a great main event in a country which usually doesn't have a lot of attendance going for it. Like Singapore, not known for drawing in big crowds, but by this time it was the main event, so arguably the crowd was at maximum capacity overall. Probably, I know some people might have left before then. It happens. And, well, I say it happens. Probably. But yeah, like, you know, they really tore the roof off of the place. Like, the crowd was super invested into it. Like, they didn't really specifically cheer or boo anyone. They were just there to watch a great fight. But when the fight started getting better and better, they did start to get louder and louder. So, really good crowd reaction. Great refereeing from Aberdeen. Really great action, like, both stand-up, especially the ground. The fluidity of the groundwork was fucking beautiful. And the finish, like, it was all really good. This could be another one of the top 10 of the year, potentially. I really enjoyed this. I don't really have a lot else to say. Just, yeah, all in all, quality stuff. Obviously, seek this one out. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to find it, because the last time it was in a more foreign country, like the last time it was in China, I couldn't find the fight of the night. And I thought, like, Singapore is sort of like, you know, relatively sort of maybe in that sort of region, so I was thinking, I won't be able to find it, but I did, and I got to watch it, and I'm really, really glad that I was able to do that. So, yeah, all in all, find this way if you can. Really great stuff, really good stuff. And might as well end the video, basically. I'll see you all tomorrow for another PPW stream, the go-home show for the next pay-per-view, and then the next pay-per-view after that is going to be Defy the Gods, my version of WrestleMania, well, PPW's version of WrestleMania. And I'll see you all, well, obviously tomorrow on Monday, and then on Friday for the next Music of the Month, where I'll be having a lot more to cover than I thought I would. So, yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, next, probably. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye-bye. Hero, say goodbye. He means it in his very, very adorable, fluffy heart. Bye.